Hi everyone, I'm the Limitless Librarian and welcome to the second in a series of videos recommending books to each of the 12 main Homestuck trolls. Last month we kicked things off on 413 with Radia Megiddo, and today we are going to be recommending books to TAVROS NITRAM, the Taurus representative troll. I'm doing one troll each month, covering each of them during their zodiac sign, so this is the second video because we're going in hemospectrum order. Anyway, without further ado, let's get into the recommendations. So the first book to recommend to TAVROS NITRAM or TAVROS NITRAM fans is Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie. Of course, as we all know, TAVROS NITRAM is a huge fan of the Alternian equivalent Pupa Pan, so this is a must-read for any TAVROS fans out there. Unfortunately, I have not read Peter Pan, nor do I own it. I do, however, own the CD dramatisation of Peter Pan in Scarlet, the official sequel, by Geraldine McCaughrean. So this is according to the CD, it's an official sequel. I listened to this way back when, but I don't remember anything about it. According to the back, it's set 20 years later. So maybe if you've read Peter Pan or seen the movie, maybe you didn't know this existed. Next recommendation for TAVROS NITRAM and fans is Heroes of Legend by L.A. Hammer. This book contains the first two books in the series. They're not very long, and it's a series that basically uses all of the fantasy hero tropes, and it also incorporates a bit of mythology. It's set in a sort of alternate version of our world. It's got all the magic and fantasy tropes, like I said, the evil wizard, the princess, the hero, talismans, magical weapons, all of that. So I think that's kind of appropriate for TAVROS because we know he wants to be a hero. He has these ambitions to be a hero. And I think that, and even just the tropiness of this book, really fits that idea that TAVROS has. My next recommendation ties into his love of animals, and that is Just So Stories by Rudyard Kipling. Yes, this is the guy that wrote the Jungle Book, if you didn't know. So as we know, TAVROS likes animals and he has powers over them. So I'm guessing he would like animal stories. The Just So stories are kind of fairy tale-esque stories explaining how things came to be, like how the camel got his hump, for example. Of course, this is not the only source of great animal stories. Other authors like Dick King-Smith and Michael Morpurgo also write lots of great animal stories. This is the first example that came to my mind. But if you're looking for great animal stories, check those guys out as well. Dick King-Smith wrote Babe the Pig, which you might be familiar with. And Michael Morpurgo, I've talked about a bit on this channel. He wrote War Horse. He's written stories about all kinds of other animals. Foxes, cats, dogs, elephants. I've got 2 books about elephants from him. So yeah, lots of different animals feature in Michael Morpurgo stories as well. So there's 2 more sort of general author recommendations for animal stories that I think TAVROS and his fans would appreciate. The next book I have to recommend is another one that I have an audio CD of, and that is What Katie Did by Susan Coolidge. This ties into TAVROS's disability. As we know from the infamous Flarp debacle, TAVROS ended up paralysed, and the same thing happens to Katie Carr, the protagonist of this book, and so we see her deal with her disability and the possibility that she might never be able to walk again, how she handles that, how she recovers from it. So I think this would be a good recommendation for any fans with whom TAVROS's paralysis disability situation resonates with. And in the same vein, I also have here Katie by Jacqueline Wilson, which is a retelling of what Katie did. I haven't read it yet, but I'm guessing this is a more modernized retelling. The original was written, I believe, in the 19th century. I was surprised when I learned how old that was. So I think this is a modernized version of it. Lastly, to recommend to Tavros Nitram and his fans are Pokemon books. As we know, Tavros essentially plays real Pokemon with actual animals using his animal control powers, which are, I suspect the RSPCA might have a thing to say about that, but I rather suspect that the RSPCA does not exist on Alternia, so make of that what you will. So I have two sources of Pokemon literature for you. The first is the Pokemon Adventures manga, which basically retells the story of the game, but I've also found it's actually way more interesting than the story of the game so far, because it expands on that. It gives the protagonist more of a character, and yeah, it just goes more in depth along the journey. And the second source of Pokemon literature is these Pokemon novelizations, which are novelizations of the Pokemon anime. So these basically retell episodes of the anime. They're kind of for kids, but if you're looking for Pokemon literature, that's also your option. There are also official books that go with the games, like strategy guides and Pokédex guides and all of that as well. So I might as well chuck those in there as well. So I think Tavros might appreciate the fact that we have at least a virtual form of his animal battle situation game thing on Earth, and who knows, might come up with some strategies from that, for better or for worse. Please remember that Homestuck is fictitious. Anyway, that's all of the recommendations I have for Tavros Nitram and his fans. If you like that, please like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the rest of the Homestuck book recommendations. Next month, we'll be recommending books to Solix Captor, the Gemini troll. And of course, if you haven't already seen the first video covering a Radio Megiddo, please check that out. There'll be a link in the description. So with that, thank you for watching. And as always, do lots of maths, read lots of books, and I'm sure you'll have an awesome day.